getting new medicines from the lab bench to the bedside, it's a long road, a real marathon.
It absolutely is.
And traditional clinical trials, well, they're crucial, obviously, for safety, for efficacy, but they can take ages. And
Hmm.
sometimes it's not even crystal clear who actually benefits the most.
Right. That's a major challenge.
Yeah.
But what's really exciting, I think, is how the field is adapting. We're seeing these next-gen clinical trial designs pop up.
Next-gen designs. Okay.
Yeah, and they're not just small adjustments. It's more like a fundamental rethink,
Hmm.
aiming for more efficiency and really trying to pinpoint which treatments work for which specific patients.
Okay, I'm with
Yeah,
you. And that's exactly what we want to dig into today, isn't it? We're focusing on two really interesting ones, basket trials and umbrella trials.
that's the plan.
Think of this, listener, as your sort of inside look at how drug development is getting smarter.
We'll break down how they work, the principles behind them, look at how they can adapt as they go along these adaptive features.
Right.
And we'll try to connect it to, real-world research, maybe touching on the things we see in places like OPR&D literature, which often covers the foundational science that makes these trials possible.
So, the mission for you today is to get a really clear picture of basket and umbrella trials and understand how they could potentially speed things up, getting good treatments out there faster.
Exactly.
Okay, let's start with basket trials. What's the basic idea? Lay it out for us.
Right. So basket trials, um, the core concept is testing one specific drug, but across several different diseases, often different types of cancer, for example.
Different diseases. Okay, how does that work?
The key link, the thing they all have in common, is some kind of shared molecular feature, like
Oh.
maybe a specific gene mutation.
Ah, okay. So I'm thinking like a literal basket. You've got different kinds of fruit in there, apples, pears, whatever. What makes them belong in the same basket?
That's a great analogy. Maybe all the fruit is organic, right?
Yeah.
Or from the same farm.
Mm.
In a basket trial, the different diseases are the fruit. And the shared characteristic is that common molecular change, that gene mutation that shows up across all those different conditions.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting, I think. So instead of running one trial for a drug targeting mutation X in lung cancer, and then a whole separate trial for the same drug targeting mutation X in, say, skin cancer,
Uh-huh.
you could potentially put patients with both cancers, if they have mutation X, into the same single trial.
That's exactly it. That's the efficiency gain.
Wow, okay. That feels like a big leap.
It is. You focus on that specific biomarker, that mutation relevant across diseases, and you test the drug in multiple groups, multiple baskets all at once. Each disease type with the marker is its own basket within the larger trial.
And what happens if the drug looks really promising in, I don't know, the skin cancer basket?
Well, that's another potential advantage. You might see a path to accelerated approval just for that specific group, for that indication. Yeah, if the data is strong for that one basket, patients with skin cancer who have mutation X regulators might be able to approve it for that use, even if it doesn't work as well in the lung cancer basket, for instance.
So it's not just faster, it's like a whole new way to think about disease based on the molecules, not just the location in the body.
Exactly. It helps figure out if the drug's effect is really tied to hitting that molecular target you see. No matter where that target happens to be, it's less about the tissue type and more about the underlying biology.
Okay, let's try and connect this to the literature, like those OPR&D sources you mentioned.
Right.
How might that foundational chemistry work support this?
Well, OPR&D, being focused on process research and development, might not explicitly say basket trial, but you look for clues. Maybe a paper discusses optimizing the synthesis or formulation of a compound.
Right, making the actual drug better.
Exactly. And maybe that compound is being looked at for several tumor types that all share a specific marker, like, say, a KRAS mutation. The work described in OPR&D on making that drug stable, making it deliverable. That's essential groundwork for enabling a basket trial.
So the chemistry enables the clinical strategy.
Precisely. They're developing the tool needed for these targeted investigations.
Yeah.
Even if OPR&D examples aren't explicitly labeled basket trial, the principle is there. Imagine a new drug inhibits protein XYZ,
Okay.
and a mutation makes XYZ overactive in, let's say, some leukemias, some sarcomas, maybe even some brain tumors. A basket trial could enroll patients with any of those cancers, but only if they have that specific XYZ mutation.
And you'd see if the drug works across the board or just in some basket.
Yeah, all within one study. It's a powerful concept.
Okay, basket trials, one drug, multiple diseases linked by a biomarker.
Got it.
Now, flip side, umbrella trials. The name alone suggests something different.
It does. If the basket groups different diseases by commonality, the umbrella covers patients who all have the same disease. Let's stick with cancer for a moment. It's a non-small cell lung cancer.
Okay, so everyone under the umbrella has lung cancer.
Right. But here's the twist. Within that single disease, lung cancer, there are actually many different molecular drivers, different mutations causing the cancer in different people.
Ah, so it's not monolithic.
Not at all. So an umbrella trial starts by doing detailed molecular testing on each patient's tumor, finding out which specific mutation or alteration is driving their cancer.
And then what?
Then, based on that molecular profile, the patient is assigned to a specific treatment arm within the umbrella trial. Each arm tests a different drug designed to target a specific molecular alteration found in that disease.
Okay, wait. So under the lung cancer umbrella, you might have one arm testing drug for patients with an EGFR mutation, another arm testing drug B for patients with an ALK rearrangement, maybe a third arm with drug C for a KRAS mutation, all happening simultaneously.
Exactly. That's the essence of it. Multiple targeted therapies tested under the umbrella of a single disease type, but matched to patients based on their tumor-specific molecular fingerprint. It's highly personalized.
That sounds incredibly efficient too in a different way, testing multiple drugs for one disease in one go.
It is. Think about the infrastructure. One trial setup, one protocol, but you're investigating multiple potential treatments and figuring out which subgroups benefit from which specific drug. Big savings in time and resources compared to running, 5 separate trials.
And how might the OPR&D literature reflect this? Would it be about developing those different drugs?
Precisely. You might see OPR&D papers detailing the synthesis, the scale-up, the characterization of several different candidate drugs.
Ah, okay.
And maybe the context is that these are all potential treatments for different molecular subtypes of, say, breast cancer. One targets HER2, another targets PIK3CA, and other BRCA mutations. The chemistry work is creating those different spokes for the potential umbrella trial.
Creating the specific tools needed for each arm of the trial.
Exactly. Even if the paper focuses purely on the chemistry, the scientific rationale developing distinct molecules for distinct targets within one disease directly supports the umbrella concept. So you might have a trial where all breast cancer patients get screened.
Right.
And based on whether they have HER2 amplification or a PIK3CA mutation or something else, they get assigned to the arm, testing the drug specifically designed for that alteration. It helps find the right drug for the right subgroup much faster.
Okay, both designs, basket, and umbrella sound like really smart ways to organize research. Now, you mentioned adaptive features. What does that mean in this context?
Yeah, that's a really important layer. Many of these next-gen trials, both basket and umbrella, aren't static. They often use adaptive designs.
Adaptive, meaning they can change.
Kind of, yeah, but in a pre-planned way. An adaptive design allows for specific modifications to the trial based on the data that's coming in during the trial. It lets the trial learn as it goes.
Okay, so it's not just set in stone from day one. It can react. Give me an example.
Sure. So in that umbrella trial for lung cancer with multiple arms, let's say the drug targeting the ALK rearrangement looks really effective early on. An adaptation might be to start enrolling more patients into that ALK arm to confirm the finding faster.
Okay, focus the resources.
Exactly. Or conversely, if another arm, say the one for the KRAS mutation, just isn't showing any benefit, or maybe there's an unexpected side effect.
Yeah.
A pre-planned adaptation could be to stop enrolling patients in that arm. It's called dropping an arm for futility. Saves patients from getting an ineffective treatment and frees up resources.
That makes perfect sense. Don't keep throwing good money after bad, so to speak. What else can be adapted?
You can also adapt patient allocation more broadly. In a basket trial, if the drug seems to work wonders in the sarcoma basket but not the leukemia basket, you might adapt to focus enrollment more on sarcoma patients with that biomarker. Or you might adjust the total number of patients needed the sample size. If the effect is really strong and clear early on, you might need fewer patients than originally planned to prove the point.
So the trial itself becomes more efficient as it learns. For us trying to follow this, it means the research is potentially getting to the answer faster and more reliably.
That's the goal. More efficient, higher chance of success, maybe lower overall cost. These adaptive features really boost the power of the basket and umbrella structures.
It sounds almost too good to be true. I mean, there must be challenges, right? It can't be that simple.
Oh, definitely not simple. You're right to ask. There are complexities. For one thing, the statistics get pretty sophisticated.
How so?
Well, analyzing data, when you've got multiple subgroups within baskets or when you've dropped arms or changed enrollment numbers mid-trial, It's not your standard analysis. You need specialized statistical methods to make sure the conclusions are sound.
Right, because the groups aren't fixed and independent like in older designs.
Exactly. And then there are the operational hurdles. Just think about the logistics,
Like what?
like screening potentially hundreds or thousands of patients with advanced molecular tests to find the ones with the right biomarker for a basket trial, or the right mutation for a specific arm of an umbrella trial.
Yeah, that sounds complex.
And then managing all those different arms, making sure the right patients get the right drug, especially across multiple hospitals or clinics, it requires a lot of coordination.
And I bet the regulators like the FDA have to look at these differently too.
Absolutely, that's a key area. Regulatory agencies are actively working on guidance for these novel designs. How do you review data from a trial that changed shape partway through? How do you ensure the results are robust enough to approve a drug? It's an ongoing conversation.
So the challenges are real, but they're part of the process of innovating, of pushing forward to find better ways.
That's a good way to put it. The complexity is kind of the price of progress towards more efficient, more patient-centered research.
Okay, so we've explored basket trials, umbrella trials, adaptive designs. Let's pull it all together. What's the big takeaway here for the future of drug development?
I think the main message is that these next-gen designs are really about efficiency and precision. They help us learn faster, use resources smarter, and, crucially, get closer to the goal of precision medicine.
Matching the right drug to the right patient.
Exactly. Basket trials do it by finding a common molecular thread across different diseases.
Sure.
Umbrella trials do it by dissecting a single disease into its molecular subtypes and targeting each one specifically. Both get us away from the one-size-fits-all model.
Which ultimately means better treatments getting to the patients who will actually benefit and hopefully faster.
That's the potential, yes. By focusing on the underlying molecular cause, not just the symptoms or the location of the disease, these designs could really accelerate how we develop and approve new medicines.
Which leads to a fascinating thought for you, the listener. As our understanding of the molecular details of disease gets even deeper, what other kinds of innovative trial designs might we see emerge? It really highlights how fundamental science drives clinical progress.
It really does. The more we learn about the biology, the smarter we can be in designing trials. It's a continuous cycle of discovery and refinement.
Well, this has been incredibly insightful. Thanks for walking us through these next generation approaches. It's genuinely exciting to see how clinical trial science is evolving.
My pleasure. It's a dynamic field, and understanding these designs gives you a real glimpse into where pharmaceutical R&D is heading.
And for you listening, if this sparked your interest, you might want to explore maybe the specific statistical methods used in adaptive trials, or perhaps dive deeper into the role of biomarkers across different diseases. There's always more to learn.
Absolutely. The landscape of drug development is always shifting, always innovating.